In this lesson, we will learn how to export a scene we have created to an image file. Once you have created your model, it is possible that you will want to present various scenes as images. First, you should activate the scene you want to export or position a camera in the room that you want to appear in the image. In this example, I will activate the scene that shows room 3. Then, I will expand the File menu, hover the cursor over Export, and select the 2D Graphic option. Once I click on it, the Export 2D Graphic window appears, so I can specify a name, select a folder, and finally save the image. In this example, I will select the desktop folder and type the phrase, Room 3, in the name field. Something important is the Save as Type drop-down below the name field. From this drop-down, you can choose the type of image. I will expand this drop-down, and, in this example, I will select the JPEG type. Before I export the image, I'll click Options to open the export settings. From the Export Options window, you can specify the size of the image. By enabling Use View Size, the program will export the image in the same dimensions as those displayed in the program. If that's not what you want, then you have to disable this option. Now, with this option disabled, I can change the width and height of the image. I will type the number 1280 in the width field and notice that the value in the height field changes automatically, so the proportions of the image will not change. The higher the values you set in these fields, the larger the size of the exported image. In the Line Scale Multiplier field, you define a value to scale the lines in an exported image. The default is 1x, and the minimum is 0.25x. The higher the value, the thicker the lines will appear. I will not change the value in this field. When the Anti-Alias option is enabled, the edge lines look smoother by blending in the colors at the edges. Last but not least, from the JPEG compression slider, you can define the quality of the image. Since I want an image with good quality, I will drag the slider to the right until it reaches better quality. When I finish with all those settings, I will close the Export Options window and click on Export to export the image. At this point, let's see the differences if you export an image in Portable Network Graphics format, or, as you may have heard it, PNG format. This time I will select Outdoor Scene 1. Again, I will expand the File menu, hover the cursor over Export, and select the 2D Graphic option. As we saw before, the Export 2D Graphic window appears, so I can specify the name and type of the image, select a folder, and finally save the image. I will not change the suggested name, but I will expand the Save as Type drop-down, and this time I will select the PNG format file. The difference between PNG files and JPG files is that in PNG image files, you can remove the model's background. This way, you can then use Photoshop to add another background and achieve a different result. So, I will click Options again to open the export settings for the PNG image. As you notice, the JPG format and the PNG format have similar settings. The only difference is the Transparent Background option, which did not exist among JPG format settings. In addition, when you select the PNG image format, you cannot choose the image quality. In this example, I will enable the Transparent Background option without changing any other option and then close the window. Finally, I will click on Export to create the image. I will minimize the SketchUp window to open the two images I exported and see the result. Notice that the background in the PNG image file has been deleted and only the horizon is shown. If I had chosen another style for the horizon, the entire background would have been white.